Planning for that retirement after a career in higher education should not involve Schrodinger's cat. There are clear options and choices. And in this podcast, TIAA Simplified, your host, Greg Shepard, will help you understand them. So welcome. I'm Patrice Sikora. And in this inaugural episode, we will learn about Greg, his background, and why he chooses to focus on higher education. It's good to be with you, Greg.
Hey, it's good to be here. I appreciate the time, and I'm looking forward to a good conversation here.
Absolutely. So let's start with, how the heck did you get into the financial space? What pulled you there?
Oh, geez. Well, I've always had an interest in finances to begin with, up back into the college days. And my father started this firm back in the mid '90s. So as I grew up watching him deal with finances, it kind of drew me into that space. And right after college, I entered the workforce in the finance space, working with Charles Schwab down in Phoenix. Make a long story short, came aboard S&A Financial, I'd say 2001. And from there, here we are, 25 years later, still going.
That's a good record. Good long record at one place.
So far, so good, right? No, I really do enjoy it. So it's been fun.
Well, then why higher education?
Why higher education? Okay, so my father, again, you can see where the crux of this all started. Right. So this is what he's done since he started, literally back in the 70s. Now, he started the firm back in the 90s, but he's been doing this since the 70s. So I've seen it play out over the course of time, and how he's helped folks in this space literally change their lives financially. And we'll dive into what that means here in more modern times. But so I just piggybacked off that. And I've really enjoyed dealing with these folks over the course of time.
I think I should ask, is there anybody in the pipeline, another son or daughter who may be moving into your shoes?
12-year-old daughter, just turned 12 last week. I don't think she's more like her mother. My wife, not really... what's the word? Financially savvy in this regard.
That's
more
being
artistic,
gentle.
but
being gentle.
Being
yes.
gentle. So we'll see what the future holds. But I'd certainly like to push her into this space if she wants.
Why?
Because there's a lot of good that can be done. She's very good natured and wanting to help people. And I've told her time and time again, she's too young, of course, to understand this. But I tell her time and time again that the best way that we can help people with a little hand-holding is through this medium. Okay. Now her goal in life is to create these tiny houses for people. So she's in that.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Those small tiny houses that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So she's got that mentality. So I'm trying to push her towards the financial aspect of helping people. We'll see how that plays out. To be determined.
That would be awesome. That would really be awesome. And it does sound like she's got the bent, the philanthropic bent there.
She does. And we'll see. She's 12, right? She's more interested in going to amusement parks and going to movies right now. So we're one thing at a time.
But if you start the kids out of, you show it at, an early age. I know getting my boys to volunteer was like pulling teeth. But once they did it, they always felt better afterwards.
Yeah. Isn't that always the case? That's and that translates to this industry as well. That after you go through the process and people literally thank you for changing their lives, it's really meaningful, and obviously in a good way. And it's really changed the way I see my industry, what I do for a living. So again, we're gonna dive into this stuff, but it's really been eye-opening and to a degree, without being dramatic, life-changing, dealing with these folks for the last 2 or 3 years.
Do you have a story about that?
A story?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just to share, give us an idea.
Well, okay, so let me give you an idea of what's going on here. So I deal, again, we'll get into this. I keep reiterating, but we're dealing with folks in TIAA, higher education, and other aspects of careers like healthcare professionals, but folks that deal with TIAA and the complexities that specific investment within TIAA brings, to the point where they're not getting much help. And they run across me. I created a YouTube channel, created an unprofessional podcast a couple years ago, created a lot of energy, a lot of momentum. So folks are reaching out to me. And once they figure out who I am and what I'm doing, there's not many, if any, people in the country doing what I'm doing from an independent perspective, to the point where I have received all, not solicited, not these aren't things I want, but I do a lot of, we'll call it pro bono work. I'm not looking to onboard everybody as clients. I'm trying to help as many folks as I can. And people do realize that after they speak to me, to the point where they don't become clients, but they gather all kinds of information and they turn around and send me all kinds of gifts and handwritten letters. And I can't emphasize this enough, that it's really been career life changing, just eye opening, helping people out, to the point where in the past, of course, I'm a financial advisor, investment advisor, whatever you want to call it in my space. This industry has become it's become commoditized in a way that I'm more than happy to elaborate on. But this unique path, you can't implement AI. You can't commoditize it. You can't, it's unique to each individual. And it's just been a lot of fun, gratifying, going down this path, helping people out.
Well, tell me more. Keep going. What's unique about your approach and why?
Yeah. Okay. So and of course, folks that are listening, watching this, will understand and appreciate what I'm about to say. The information that rattles in my head when it comes to TIAA over the course of the last 24 years it's only good for probably 90, or it's not good. I'll put it this way. It's not relevant to 99.8% of the population out there. But those folks that it is relevant to understand what I'm talking about, to the point where you have to understand a lot of the illiquidity and liquidity aspects of this one investment inside TIAA, to the point where people have reached out to me a few years prior, or not even a few years, a few months, maybe a few days to retirement, and said, "Hey, I jumped on YouTube just trying to find some information. I ran across your YouTube channel, your podcast, realized that the investment I have is illiquid." And I've had people say, "I was wanting to use this money to pay off my mortgage, to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Now I can't." And it's really, I've had folks break down in tears, okay, because I'm the bearer of bad news. And what's really frustrating about this, and I got to toe the line a little bit, but I've had folks that have gone through these scenarios tell me specifically that they've sat across the table, figuratively speaking, Zoom calls, with reps from TIAA, from other investment advisory firms, and maybe to their own fault, I can't answer this, but they just learned about the illiquidity aspects of this investment days, months prior to retirement, which they could have been told this 20 years ago, and it would have changed their life at that point. But so sometimes I'm the bearer of bad news, which doesn't feel good. But again, I help them out, hold their hand on unwinding or putting together a game plan. So
somehow that doesn't sound very professional.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
It really is. And it irritates me, maybe sense that in my voice, my mannerisms, but it's not rare. Folks are reaching out to me, figuring out that, hey, your YouTube channel opened my eyes to the point where I've asked questions, and I've just now realized some of the answers to these questions that could have been told to me a decade ago, but it wasn't. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, when did you learn all these ins and outs?
A long time ago, but the point of contention, maybe that's not the right word, what I struggled with, I've always dealt with higher education, but I knew I had, again, I'll go back to this wealth of knowledge rattling around in my head, but I didn't know how to disseminate it. Technology, 25 years ago was not the same as it is now. We didn't do this 25 years ago. And so I was left to my own devices of old school, we'll call it marketing, if you will, which I'm not very good at. And I'm not a salesperson. I don't enjoy doing that. So again, the catalyst to what I'm doing now is I just threw up some videos on YouTube on advice from a friend of mine that's in marketing. Said, "Hey, why don't you just throw up these videos and just see what happens?" And I've never been on Facebook. I'm not a big social media guy. My wife can attest to that. But I did it anyways. And I let it sit there for a few months. And all of a sudden I started getting this traction, and people started emailing me and calling me and responding to the YouTube clips. And I hit a nerve. And that nerve was TIAA Traditional. That's the wording, that's the phrase that I found over the course of time that people are really interested in for obvious reasons, because it's very complex. And so from there, this journey of social media, primarily podcast, and we'll call it YouTube, podcast and YouTube, if you want to call podcasting social media, which is a form of social media, really took off. And it's garnered quite a bit of attention. Mostly good, but I got some folks out there that want to push back on a little bit on what I'm doing, but maybe that's
you need the negative to know the positive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you put yourself out there
Yeah.
on different mediums, and people have interesting comments on things that you're doing. But nonetheless, I don't want to warrant a conversation in that regard.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about your mission here. It sounds like you're out there just to help people.
Yeah, it sounds corny. It sounds I don't know, pie in the sky kind of concept, but it really is. So, and again, I'll reiterate that it's opened my eyes professionally down this path that I really wasn't going down prior. And I'm not sure if I'm phrasing that correctly, but the last 2.5 years, the mission really is to help people. And I do a lot of, we'll call it pro bono or free work. If I don't view it as work, I'm literally having chats with people via Zoom mostly. And a lot of times folks can figure it out themselves. They just need to, the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. And that is true across the board. I say this tongue in cheek, but it's actually a reality where I have clients that are rocket scientists that are light years ahead of me, intellectually, and which is hard to believe, right? But they don't know what they don't know. They don't know the questions to ask. They don't know how to unwind these complexities around TIAA. Hence, they find me on YouTube or podcast, and they reach out to me. So some of those folks don't become clients, which is perfectly fine. My father taught me a long time ago, as long as you're good by people, good to people, good by people, business will take care of itself. So I get into this not worried about or focused on growing a business. That'll take care of itself, and it has. It's really about helping people. And, more times than not, folks do not come on board, which is perfectly fine. They are getting help, which I really, truly do enjoy. So,
all right. So it sounds like this, is it one vehicle that everyone is in that is just so complex?
Yeah. And, please ask questions, because I guarantee you, because you're not familiar with TIAA Traditional.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, in a good way. And a lot of folks out there listening aren't either. Yes, the answer to your question, yes, it's one vehicle inside TIAA and the reason it garners a lot of attention is it's the word fixed. It's the word guaranteed. Okay, a lot of folks in higher ed and other walks of life as well that have access to TIAA they gravitate towards this specific investment because it is guaranteed, fixed, has a set rate associated with it. So your more conservative investors gravitate towards this. The problem is when I say most, I don't know, 9 out of 10 folks that get into it have no idea how to get out of it. Okay. And therein lies the complexities. They don't figure this out until, again, 20 years down the road, where it's not too late. And if I can reach folks prior to 10 years to retirement, a lot of these issues can be solved if you just have the knowledge, if you just have the information, of which, if you don't ask the question, TIAA may not afford you this information. So you have to ask the question. But how do you know to ask the question if you don't know
what the
nuance? Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get this word out there. And we've been pretty successful doing it so far.
Sounds like you feel rewarded by it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's been, yes. I'll just keep saying the same thing. It's been really personally satisfying.
Well, we'll get back to the podcast in a minute, but I want to ask you, when you're not working, what do you like to do?
Golf.
Okay.
I was pretty quick on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. I love getting out there. Yeah. Anything outdoors, to be honest. I'm in the Midwest, so right now we spoke earlier before this recording, but July and August is a little tough. It's a little humid, a little hot. But anything to do with my daughter, anything she wants to do, whether that be going to dance, she's into dance and
recitals.
the artsy. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Not really my word, but my world, but it's become more of my world.
Yeah.
Do anything my daughter wants to do, personally, anything dealing with golf. I just enjoy being outside. I'm not very good, which is fine. I just enjoy being out there.
Why is it that golfers always say, I'm not very good. I'm not
Because
very
there's
good.
somebody
I
else
just
out
like
there
it."
that is good, that could challenge you and ask, how good are you? But I'm 48 years old, right? I have a full-time job, and I've never met someone really my age. I didn't play this in high school or competitively that really is good at golf. So I never want to play with anybody play golf with anybody that gets upset. And the only people that really get upset at golf seem to be the good golfers. So I play with a lot of bad golfers, and we have a good time.
You have a good time. That's the
Yeah.
important part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jumping back to work. Is there something you keep in mind when you're dealing with people who get frustrated, who get, they're maybe angry because they didn't understand, they weren't told, they didn't know what to ask? Is there a mantra you tell yourself besides just calm down, to keep you on track and to keep them motivated?
The answer is yes, but it's not as simple as, defining that
Okay.
answer, because I'll put it this way. There's always a way out of what they think might be one of the biggest financial, not maybe, is the biggest financial complexity in their life. Again, they don't know. I mean, to your point, calm down, let's stay the course here. There's an answer for that, but they don't understand. Even explaining the answer a lot of the times, they don't quite grasp it. And these are very intelligent people, but these are nuances associated with this investment that is unlike, to my knowledge, any investment out there. So it takes a couple times going through the process. And I've had people time and time again that are ready to retire, but they don't feel comfortable. And this is verbatim to a degree. They don't feel comfortable, pulling that trigger, so to speak, for retirement, because they don't have not even a concrete game plan, a loosely defined game plan, because they're working with TIAA, they're working with other advisors that aren't as knowledgeable about this, and they just feel it's too loose of a game plan. So once they really hone in on the specifics on how to unwind some of the complexities and how it fits in the overall puzzle, I could just see it. Their shoulders, they relax, they take a deep breath, and they feel more comfortable pulling that trigger, so to speak, for retirement. So, yeah.
Well, then, what are some of the topics you want to discuss in this podcast going forward? Because it sounds to me like there could be some pretty intense discussions.
Yeah. So I actually take the guide from folks that have watched the YouTube, listened to the podcast. What do you want to listen to? What do y'all want to listen to? Or what do you want to watch? And so a lot of the topics that we'll talk about is feedback from folks that are in the trenches, that are literally the participants of TIAA. And of course, I throw in real world scenarios. So some of the topics that we're going to get into are kind of specific, but for good purpose, because they will be implemented. The scenarios we're talking about, the strategies therein can be implemented for a majority of people out there. They just don't know it. And it improves their financial situation. So the topics, in general, are going to be surrounding TIAA Traditional. Okay. In general, how to form the overall game plan, financially speaking, involving TI. Maybe you have too much TI Traditional, and some of your issues of extracting that money are limited. You can still devise a complete game plan with that illiquid piece of that portfolio. You just got to know how. You just need the information. So there's going to be some specific stuff, and along the way, some general financial game planning as well involving TIAA.
You kind of answered my next question, but is it ever too late to come for help?
Oh, geez. I wish I could say, no, it's not too late, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. So, I mean, these are maybe topics we get into in further episodes, but there have been folks, unfortunately, where, again, I'll reiterate something I said earlier, where I've been the bearer of bad news, where, folks want to pull out 50% of their assets to do something, pay off the mortgage, to do something and they can't. And some of those illiquid scenarios don't lend itself to that individual being able to do that. So in that sense, yes, it's too late. So that's why I try to get the word out there as much as I can, and emphasize, start asking questions. It's never too early to start asking questions around your TIAA investments, because there is a point, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish financially, that it can be too late. Obviously, we don't want that to happen.
Right.
And I don't enjoy having those conversations. So,
well, I think that sounds like a great topic for one of your episodes too. What if it is too late? But my question to you right now is there something we haven't covered that you want to make sure we do before we wrap up this show?
No, I'm excited to get this going. These episodes, I know, I used to say, I think a lot of people will gather some information from these, one or two tidbits of implementable ideas. But now, after a couple of years of doing this through YouTube and, of course, the unprofessional podcast route, I know a lot of folks are going to take away a lot of implementable ideas, thoughts, and at least take a step back and force people to start asking questions. So I'm excited. I really am, to help people out in this medium.
I'm looking forward to this myself.
Yeah.
Now, how can people reach you?
Yeah. So website, safinancialservices.com is a simple way to reach me. Email, of course, Greg Shepard. My professional one is greg@shepardfinancial.com. Phone number, with technology, most folks reach me by email, but phone number here in Kansas City, locals, 913-521-2381. But the best way to get a hold of me is through that email.
All right. Fantastic. And Greg, I am looking forward to this. I think we're going to learn a heck of a lot here. I appreciate it. All right, folks, follow this podcast. You've now got the chance, so you know when the new show is ready for you. And of course, please share it with others. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you for listening to TIAA Simplified. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.safinancialservices.com or give us a call at 913-521-2381. And don't forget to click the follow button so you never miss an episode. S&A Financial Services, Inc. is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice or as an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Always consult with your tax advisor or attorney regarding your specific situation.